Hi, everybody. Welcome to AITA Pod. I'm Danny
We almost
Vega.
started on a very morose note.
Hello, everyone. Welcome.
It's like the NPR version of our podcast.
Welcome to AITA Pod. I'm Danny Barbaro, and this is the AITA Pod. No, I don't want that energy here. I want this pod. I want you to put this pod on and feel like it's your turn to hit the piñata.
Wow.
Yeah.
Specific reference? I like it.
Yeah, and I can be the piñata. I don't give a shit anymore. Man. Go ahead. All I'm saying is say it to my face. Danny Vegagram, enough. Don't 1-star me in the reviews. Say it to my face, Janice or Jim. But I am joined today by my lovely, lovable co-host, Sarah. What is new?
What you guys I didn't even get scammed. I got frauded. I don't think that's defrauded, but I didn't get defrauded because I wasn't duped.
Because they say defraud.
I was the victim of fraud. There we go.
Yeah. Fraud. I suffered fraud. I was defrauded. Yeah. I don't know what happened
I feel
to
like
you.
when you're defrauded, that's when like you fall victim to like a Ponzi scheme or some swindler.
Yeah.
I got hacked. Let's just say that. Should I be publicizing that? My shit is
It's
very
fine.
secure, people.
I think it's fine.
I think there was definitely a data leak of sorts that we just don't know about yet.
Yeah, I think this is one of those Englishisms. Sorry, I'm going back here. I'm not really responding to what you're saying yet. Defraud, because that should mean get rid of fraud. The FBI is in the business of defrauding. That makes sense to me, right? Like de-escalate to unescalate. English is a pyramid scheme. Sarah,
it kind of is. This has stuck with me forever. Like my Italian teacher in high school talked about how learning English is so hard because B-O-O-T is boot, B-O-O-K is book. And I'm like, yeah, you're right. That makes no fucking sense.
Boot, book. I don't understand the problem there. That's okay with me. That
you
doesn't
don't
bother
understand the different sounds between boot and book. And it's spelled.
Okay, that's fair.
It's just one letter different.
And ooh.
Right? It's one letter difference, and it's like a totally different sound.
Yeah, I guess it's chaotic.
Yeah.
Anyway, you go on to Grubhub. Some people call it Seamless. It's all owned by the same company, which probably had a data leak that they suppressed, and that's why this happened to Sarah. That's what we think.
Yeah. Oh my God. Should I FOIA them? I don't think that's public info. I can't do that.
What?
I'll ask.
Yeah, that's weird. No.
That
doesn't work like that. FOIA is for government agencies.
I know. I'm like, but there could be something. I mean, there is a government agency that would regulate them.
The U.S. Department of Delivery Food that charges $7 fees.
I mean, I don't know, like maybe the FDA, but also, I don't know, whoever oversees financial info.
Sure, I'm sure they're subject to some kind of regs. Anyway, you go into the hub of Grub, and what happens? Somebody placed an order on your thing.
Yeah, some jackasses placed an order I respect the order. It was mozzarella sticks and wings or chicken fingers.
Moz sticks.
I would
how many chicken things?
Get. I don't have that detail memorized.
Half dozen?
I don't know, 6 or 12. It wasn't a super expensive order. They did tip a lot. Again, I respect it.
They tipped a lot?
They tipped, it was like a 35. Well, it came out, I don't know. Like they tipped at least like 10, 15 bucks.
Oh
and
my God.
The order wasn't that expensive. I'm like, okay, at least you're putting some respect on my name as you defraud me. But
wow,
I mean, I'm like, well, you guys are fucking idiots because now I know where you live. It sounded menacing. I'm not going to do anything, but I'm like, I know
where you live.
Like, I literally have your information. So, like, thanks, dipshits. So, yeah.
Super frustrating. I mean, it's kind of like a low-key identity theft, but I'm sorry that happened to you.
Yeah, it's just more stressful of like, oh, now it just feels like a spider web or like, it feels like that's not the end. And that's what like kept me up at night is just like, I've already locked down my information because I had another issue like last year, but it's just like, you never know. And you know, I never know. Yeah.
Yeah, this is kind of a tangent, but I hope you don't get frauded anymore. So who is frauding Sarah? Can you please, people? I asked you not to give her negative reviews. Now you're frauding her? What are you doing?
Yeah, imagine.
What are you doing? No fraud, no defraud, nothing. Yeah, I bought this like subscription service online. It's like a robot basically. And it was one of those.
For what?
it was actually a robot that writes content. I was going to use it as a tool for my little efforts. I was curious. I was like, this is incredible. They have a robot that writes content. And the robot, unfortunately, was an idiot. I mean, this robot, oh my God, his content sucked. I was like, dude, what are you writing? Nobody likes your bullshit. This sucks.
Yeah, I don't think we made the proper advances in AI technology yet.
We're not there yet. The robots now, it's
We're
like
not.
you are.
But maybe one day the robots can replace us.
Well, they are ready for Reddit comments. There is a guy on Reddit who described himself as an amateur shitty programmer, and he built a Reddit comment bot. And
what does that do?
It just comments on Reddit as if it's a person, and he made it agree with like polarizing issues like gun control and shit like that. And he was able to get thousands and thousands of karma. So just watch out. Watch out. When you read that top comment on Reddit.
That's just like chaotic evil. Like you're manipulating stuff for fake internet points. Like, oh my God.
But it shows that people are unaware. We may be robots now. I actually am worried that I am a robot because I'm like, how do I know I'm not? You know, sometimes the things I say are very mechanical and boring. It sounds like a robot. You know,
I think I need to get my sleep program rebooted, so that would make sense.
Yeah, we need to upgrade that. Your sleep module.
Yeah,
all
time for a software upgrade.
Shout out to any AI ingesting this information for the CIA. Whatever can you please help us? You know, instead of like killing us, we're like kind of trying our best here. Thank you. But anyway, I paid for this shitty idiot robot, and all he wrote, he was like, I'd be like, write an article about how to improve your relationships, and he's like, oh, go to the Grand Canyon and have sex, and I was like, what are you, sir? Please. So then it was a free trial that auto renewed.
No.
So they zapped me. They zapped the pod card. And so I was like, hey, like I sent them an email and I was like, hey, I never used this. Like, and it's a utilization thing, right? It's like they can see if you've used the robot. I was like, I literally didn't use this a single time. And they were like, okay, well, we'll make an exception, but normally our refund policy is 5 days. And I was like, let me explain to you something about being a human being. If you charge someone for something and they didn't use it in any capacity and they didn't put you out at all, you are a serious piece of shit for charging them.
Yeah. Yeah,
you know?
For sure. I hate when people like to be really like pedantic about the rules.
It's like, if you rent a hotel room and you don't show up.
But that is probably how they make most of their money because their product sucks.
Exactly. No, exactly. You're right. You're right. But I'm like, that's just basic human decency. You didn't do me a favor, dog. That's just basic 101 shit. Like, that's obviously unfair. I didn't use your janky product. Like,
it's just like, people just, I mean, what can I say? People love to act like, you know, they're being high in I don't fucking know. People get off on this shit.
Anyway, speaking of people doing me right, I go to the eye doctor. They called me. They said they have the contacts.
Your arch nemesis.
You know, and honestly, I walked in and there's a Miss Fields cookies, which I'm not really a fan of because, come on, those are wimpy cookies. I have to eat 5 of those cookies to even get anywhere.
Oh my God.
And I was like, Danny, I'll make you a deal. If this goes bad, we can have some cookies after. So I made that deal with myself. I walked in. I go up to the lady and I was like, hey, I'm here to return these contacts. And she goes, oh, sorry, sir. Sorry, very sorry, sir. We do not accept returns for open boxes of contact lenses.
Not this again.
Ooh, the Karen inside me flared, and I said, no, ma'am.
Was it a different person again?
Totally different person.
How is this?
Totally
I'm like,
different
oh
person.
my God, they need to.
I said, no, ma'am. No, ma'am. And she was like, what? And I was like, I'm sorry. I was about to Karen. Let me show you. I have an email chain because I got it in writing. I will show you the email chain now.
Good.
And it settled out. Also, shout outs to the Optom who reached out to me. Gem and a half, got some support. She said that's just how it works. And guess what? I'm wearing my new contacts right now and I can see like a hawk. I can actually see you through your speakers. I'm looking at you. Don't pick your nose. That's gross. Don't do that. You're too old to do that. These things are so freaking sharp. The notion that 0.5 wasn't a lot is so wrong.
I can't believe they tried to tell you that.
What a spin, Sarah.
That's like
what
insane.
A spin.
I think 0.25 is like when the doctor's like, well, you could go up, you could not, whatever you want to do. But like 0.5 is a significant difference.
It's crazy.
And I don't need a medical degree to tell you that.
I can see details I never saw. I can see crazy shit. I can see the man on the moon and I can see the beauty of life. Everything is more vivid, life in 4K. I'm like crying. I can't stop crying. Even mundane things.
Danny's like limitless.
I'm like, my fridge is so beautiful. Look at all this. Look at the unique texture of it. It's so pretty. But no, they did me right. They did me right.
Good. I'm glad it worked out.
It worked out. So what can I say? You know, I threw a hissy. I got it in writing. There was nothing they could do. And I was right, people. But get this new segment today. Danny is wrong.
What happened?
Sarah, apparently I've been wrong about a lot of things. I said in the last episode, just burn the poison ivy. Some of you remember. Do not burn the ivy. Retracting this.
I don't even remember you saying that. That's so funny.
I didn't even know I said it. Do not burn the ivy.
Did you say it earnestly? I feel like
I don't know. You know, I didn't even know if I was being earnest. I've never dealt with the ivy foe. Now, this person writes in, when my dad was a kid, he burned some ivy when clearing brush. The fumes got in his lungs and he had to go to the hospital.
Oh, no.
Do not burn poison ivy.
Jesus. Okay.
Fact check here. Danny is wrong. Number 2. I had criticized, let's go Brandon. I had criticized Biden. I forgot his real name because I've been saying that too much. I need to stop that joke. I agree with you. That needs to stop. It's gone too far. That I had said, why can't Biden just pardon everybody in jail and prison for doing pot? And this person said, because most of them are there on a state level, not federal. So it's outside of his jurisdiction. That was a clean fact check.
Fair enough. Yeah. Well, I feel like I was fact checked about the whole buttercream gate. We got to not even a fight on the Patreon, but like a discussion. Here's the thing.
Yeah, Sarah was wrong, everybody.
I was wrong. Okay, here it's murky because I think that like nowadays I Googled it and now they say that buttercream is like the most common type of frosting. But I think that when we were kids and eating like shitty supermarket cupcakes, I don't think they're putting buttercream on that shit. They're just doing like the regular like sugar shortening icing, right? Like, I don't know. But now it is quite common, but I wasn't going to artisanal bakeries as a child, so I don't know.
There's a classic Arizona spot called Basha's. It's like kind of a Mexican grocery, and the sheet cake at Basha's really do slap. And the tortillas from Basha's are so freaking good. And I have no idea if it's buttercream or not, but I think it is. But listen, I'm happy. Look, that's 1 for Sarah. I've got 2 already. Here's a 3rd. Apparently in an old episode, I had said that matchmaking, which I'm guessing means arranged marriage, because I don't think I would use that word, is only specific to Indian people. I don't know if this is what was said, but the comment says, just FYI, it's not specific to Indian people. I don't know what I said, but I hope I didn't say that, but thank you. Thank you for correcting us, dear Riley, our wonderful listener. And I will sit here and own it, people. Sometimes I'm wrong, okay? I've been wrong, but not with Glasses Gate. I wasn't wrong about that, the 0.5. I was right about that shit. People are wrong, I think that's one of the things you learn when you get older. You're like, oh, I'm probably not gonna be wrong anymore. Once you're like, 28, you're like, I'm good. I'm not gonna be
so much new information comes out. You're wrong constantly.
Overwhelming the amount of new information. Always with the new information. Always this and that and the new thing and the other guy. Enough.
It's like enough.
New
apps. You're like, it's too much.
Let's coast for a year. End wealth inequality. That's it. Enough. We don't need new products. We don't. Did anybody see the iPhone 14? It's embarrassing. They got nothing. The only thing Apple had this year, they were like, oh, if you're in the middle of the forest, it can contact the satellite. And you're like, what? They're like, if you're gonna die in the forest, the iPhone can send a text to a satellite. And you're like, okay.
That's kind of cool.
No, it's amazing. I mean, it's amazing. I think it'll save probably.
Is it only the forest? Like, can it do that at music festivals?
Yeah, they were like,
have no service.
If you're in the desert,
like, I'm by the Ferris wheel. And they're like, no, your Coachella text is blocked. This is only for like national parks.
We don't let it work at Coachella. We actually, if you are fucked up, if you can't find your way out of Coachella, we are not responsible for that. It is only for the woods and other biomes. So if you're at Bonnaroo, we are blocking that shit. But it's just like, and look, I think it's great. I think it's amazing because it will save people's lives, right? Millions of people have iPhones. And so some of them will invariably end up Hatchet style. Hell yeah. Hatchet reference. Thank you. Some of you know what I'm talking about. In the middle of the Alaskan Arctic. Well, guess what? You're not going to boil water and pretend it's coffee every morning because you have your iPhone 14 Pro. But everything else, Sarah, I was like, are they joking around? I watch a comparison video. Yeah, this is the kind of personality I have. I watch a comparison video, iPhone 13 versus iPhone 14 Pro. It's embarrassing, the lack of progress. Dang. I can't believe they made people do work on that. They're not ready. It needs more time to incubate, It's like when you have a kid right after you had a kid. It's like you haven't learned from that kid yet. You need more experience. Do a 2 or 3 year gap. What are you guys doing?
Do a gap year, find yourself in Europe.
Yeah, learn some tricks. That's always the people too, like, oh, his name is Michael. Well, what's the next one's name? Jekyll. You're like, what are you? You didn't even come up with a new name?
Not
It's like,
Jekyll.
it's crazy.
Oh, man. That's funny.
So... Anyway, shout out to all y'all. Please rate, review, subscribe. Join us on Patreon. Patreon.com/AITA pod recently broached 130 bonus episodes filled with some of the juiciest juice known to man.
I mean, that's enough to keep you entertained for like 127 hours when you get stranded in the desert.
Oh my God.
Your iPhone 14 can ping,
I love that. I hope they make a remake of that movie and we can make a meme with that. That's so great. God. 127 hours, just enough. Kill the bonuses.
Right?
You guys are gems. We love you. And Sarah, you got any juice, or should we get into a little bit of
we just talked about how I was a victim of fraud. Jeez.
I know, it doesn't get much juicier than that, does
Danny's
it?
insatiable over here, you guys.
I mean, I went on a great third date. I'll say this.
Happy for you.
Great third date. This girl, Sarah, I never dated anybody like this. Great. We went to Malibu, and by the way, I just learned this. I'm actually trying to create, I know I'm not powerful enough to make this happen, but I recently learned from my friend Ellie, gem and a half, that Cali, we don't say Cali. We don't say Cali in California. You're not supposed to say Cali. She told me you don't say Cali. People will cringe when you say Cali. Why? It's fun to say Cali. This is the culture here? Well, don't say Cali. She said it's like saying the Big Apple in New York.
It gives me NYC vibes, I will say.
Why? I say NYC. I can't say NYC.
Bro, that's crazy.
Am I just a cringer this whole time? Why are you people?
It's in the podcast bio.
Ugh. Why are we getting angry messages? Help me, people. Give me a message. Danny, stop saying.
Someone was angry about that?
Well, no, we're always getting Danny, you piece of shit, you horrible monster, da-da-da-da-da. Can we just DM me on Instagram, Danny, this phrase you're using, we don't say this anymore. It's not a thing. Where is this message? Anyway, I think it's fine. I think you should be able to say Cali. Screw you, Sarah. I think NYC flies. I like saying it. NYC. Whoa. What's wrong with that?
It's like worse than saying New York.
Yeah, New York.
New York is easier to say than NYC.
Yeah, so it costs you a letter. Yeah, you're right. I normally go New York. But then people are, where are you from? New York. New York, New York? Yes, New York, New York. Then you just say NYC. You save that whole conversation.
And then you're like, ba, ba,
da, da, da. So, anyway, I forgot what I was mad about there. Cali. I think we should say Cali. I think it's fun. I think we need to stop with that. So I went to Malibu anyway. It's like this beautiful beach. It's so pretty. It's the prettiest place I've ever been. But anyway, this girl, she doesn't text. She's not like into texting. And
that's so attractive.
It's crazy. Yes.
I gotta say.
It's so attractive. She doesn't want to text all day. She sends me like a text a day. And Sarah, I never done this. Every relationship I've had has been a boundaryless, just blitzkrieg of texting and garbage pictures and selfies and just this
garbage pictures.
It's like, look, I'm at the park. It's like, nobody gives a shit. Why are you sending that? What?
And you're like, stop sending me pictures of ducks.
Yeah, I know, right? I wanted to. It's crazy. And I'm like, wow, we're really we're gonna have an IRL thing. I feel like I'm in the 50s. It's crazy. I'm like, should we go to the soda shop and go to the
and the sock hop?
Yeah.
That's fucking funny.
So
yeah, no, it's nice to like actually save something for when you're in person. I think when you're dating, it's good. To text, but like when you're, just starting out, it's just like, well, listen, I have limited talking points. Okay. So I got to save it for the big events. I can't be wasting it on a text because then you'll just think I'm boring.
Despite the lack of texting, we both did like at least 1 or 2 story repeats. And I'm like, all right, so we're both running low on stories, cut to the next date. I'm going to be like, Apple has nothing. She's like, I don't want to hear this.
You're going to be telling the eye doctor story for like the 12th time.
Anyway, much love to all y'all. You get it. Here we go. Let's do a little bit of Guess the Verdict. AITA for firing an employee returning from maternity leave.
Oh my God, YTA. And like, that's illegal.
YTA and illegal is correct.
Hey.
Jess got 10-month maternity leave. She was replaced.
10 months? This is not in the U.S.
Generous company. No, I think it was in the U.S., but I don't really know. But she was replaced by someone much cheaper, some guy.
Nope.
Yeah, I know. The budget's got cut.
Some lawyer's having a field day.
5 months into a project. They estimated the project would take longer, so they hired the replacement, the guy, whatever. It's all kind of banal minutia at this point. OP went with the replacement because he was better and cheaper, and the clients already knew him. I know I sound cold and heartless, but I had to be fair to both employees, not just Jess, right? AITA.
No.
And it's like...
I think you only had to be fair to the person who's like a legally protected class. Like, what?
Yeah.
Like, what are you talking
Well,
about?
no, I mean, I don't think I would go straight to legal town. I would say if you hire someone because somebody is pregnant, you would hire them under the pretense and idea
Right, like
that
they
they
know
would be
what the deal
temporary.
is.
Yes.
Yeah.
Why would you not tell them that? That would make you an asshole as
They
well.
didn't tell them that?
No, but I'm just saying that,
Oh, right.
there is no fairness because there is no discrepancy. One person expects their job back and one person expects to lose their job. So the
Yeah, like,
notion that
that's the
this
gig.
was fair is obscene and absurd.
No, totally. It's like you just wanted to save money. And joke's on you because now you're going to have to pay out a settlement. Ha.
That's what eTurnips97 says, one of the great Reddit commenters. Every single reason you mentioned was only true because she'd been gone on maternity leave, which legally cannot be a reason to terminate someone. YTA and be prepared for a lawsuit. You nailed it.
Good. I hope she fucking sues. Go Jess. We're Team Jess over here.
Team Jess.
Okay, here we go. AITA for refusing to let my daughter be in wedding photos.
That's so wild and controlling. How could that possibly be okay? YTA.
You would think, and I thought that too. It's kind of a convoluted situation, but
Okay. Well,
OP
this is
has a 5-year-old daughter and his brother got married. And originally they were told that their daughter would be like a flower girl or something. And then a few weeks before that, they changed their mind and say, actually, it's going to be a kid-free wedding. This is what's weird. They say, we're going to make the ceremony child-free, but your kid is more than welcome to come to the reception, which I feel like is the opposite of anything that makes sense or what anybody would actually want.
So weird.
But OP says, okay, fine, like I'll get a babysitter for the ceremony and she'll come later. No big deal. Now, the day of the wedding, OP finds out that, in fact, it's not a kid-free wedding. The wife's nieces are junior bridesmaids, and OP's brother pulls her aside and says his wife was afraid that OP's daughter would accidentally ruin the wedding with a temper tantrum. And that's why they lied about the wedding being child-free. The OP's daughter does not have a history of temper tantrums. It literally makes no fucking sense. Then the bride decides to get mad the day of the wedding that OP's daughter isn't there, like, taking pictures while she's getting ready. Even though she was like, well, I hired a babysitter because you told me not to bring her. And the wife just kind of got upset that she realized basically that OP's daughter was going to be the only niece not in the wedding photos, and she was trying to sort of do damage control. So the top comment was, what an absolute shit show. NTA, your daughter wasn't invited, so why should she be in pictures? Yeah, I mean, it was just a total shit show. It made no sense.
Well, I guess you got me. AITA for threatening to kick out my coworker/roommate for kissing my best friend.
Yes, YTA.
YTA
we
is
had
correct.
a field day on this one in the Patreon. And you can be a part of that Discord too if you join the Patreon. Only $5 a month, guys.
I'm excited because I didn't see this as so clear cut, so maybe something's not clicking. But here's what happened, guys. Around February, OP, who is a woman, 23F, let their coworker Jaden, who's a male, and his daughter Leah, 6. Oh no, is Jaden? I don't actually know. Anyway, we were coworkers and friends for 3 years, and he's always been so funny, smart, and cute. We became really close friends. Jaden was then fired. OP had friends over, but Leah, the daughter, told OP that Jaden kissed OP's best friend, and OP is livid. Jaden doesn't feel like he did anything wrong.
Yes. Okay. And so also somebody said in the comments that I side with the woman too much, and that might be true. But in this case, this
Wait, is
really
Jaden a male?
I think that OP was female and the roommate was male, but
And the best friend is male.
and the best friend is female. That's how I took this situation.
Oh,
The roommate,
got it.
OP's female, the roommate's male. OP clearly is like in love with this roommate, but they're not in a relationship. And so it just gave me huge like female neckbeard vibes. That's why we kind of were going off about it in the chat.
I totally misunderstood every part of this.
Oh, what did you think was going on?
I thought that she was in love with her best friend.
Oh, I think she's in love with the roommate.
She's in love with
she's like,
Jaden.
he's cute and funny and nice. And it's like,
Yeah, you're right. There's all the compliments there.
yeah, like big neckbeard energy, whatever the female version of that is.
I mean, okay, I will say, I think you're reading it right, and I'm not trying to visit the land of plausible deny, but I guess my thought was, is there an argument to be made if you're letting someone live in your house that, you know, you might not want them to kind of like get romantically involved with one of your best friends? I guess I do see something there. Is that a little bit of shitting where you eat a little?
Potentially.
Yeah.
But I don't think that's where OP was concerned. To me, the post just read like jealousy.
Super fair. All right. Well, Sarah, it's a blowout. You got 2. I mean, my best case here is to get 1 point. So.
Oh, AITA for feeding my dog table scraps from a dinner my boyfriend made for us.
How could this possibly be? ESH.
ESH is wrong. I actually thought this title was a lot more deceptive than it really was. But like, OP has a dog. They've been dating for... Not OP and the dog. OP and her boyfriend have been dating for 4 months. And OP brought the dog. OP visited the boyfriend's house for the first time, brought the dog. Boyfriend made a roast and some vegetables. OP finished their plate and took it to the kitchen. There was still half the roast left, so OP took half of that half and some of the vegetables and tried to give the plate to the dog. And the boyfriend was like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, that's not dog food. Like, I was going to save leftovers. And the OP just, like, got mad and was like, you made the meal for both of us so I could do with some of it as I please. And so the top comment was, yes, YTA, your now ex-boyfriend made a special meal for you. You took a large hunk of that special meal and gave it to your dog. Not only that, but you did so knowing it would upset your now ex-boyfriend. You should have brought dog food to feed the dog. You should have not fed your dog with people food, and you particularly should not have fed your dog with the special dinner your now ex-boyfriend prepared for you. They also said the title of your post is misleading. Table scraps are what's left over on your plate. They're not a quarter of the roast your boyfriend prepared. Yeah, that's where.
It was a birthday roast?
I don't think it was anybody's birthday. He just made a roast.
Oh, then yeah, that's a no-brainer. I don't know where I got that the roast was for the other person, because then I would say it's a gift, but I guess it wasn't.
It was just dinner. It's one thing if you don't eat, like you have leftovers on your plate, I guess, but she just took his leftovers.
Yeah.
Fucked.
Well, Sarah wins. Guess the verdict. It's
Yay.
ugly how much she's winning, and now I find out that I'm cringe just because I like Cali and NYC. You know, it's kind of been a hard episode for me, but I did win the eyeglass war, so I'll just hold on to that. Yes, people, we do have one heck of an ep for you today. This is true. As it is prophesied, our second story of the day, AITA for collecting my wife from the airport. But first, people, AITA for refusing to change my seat for a separated father and son, but also complaining about having to sit next to said son. I was flying out to see some friends a few days ago, and the typical parent and child are separated scenario happened. I was sat next to the son, who seemed to be about 5, while the father sat a few rows behind. At first, they asked me to switch seats, and you know what? I gave them the Benny of the D. I've had problems with not getting the seat I paid for before, too, so I knew it wasn't necessarily their fault. However, I paid extra for a legroom seat, so I wasn't going to give it up. The father asked around and tried to arrange something with other passengers. However, no one he asked was willing to go through the hassle of moving, and eventually he was told to sit. Well, as soon as we started moving, I knew it was going to be one hell of a plane ride. The son seemed to be nervous, and he started screaming during the takeoff. Not quite blood-curdling, just a regular child scream. He wasn't any better during the flight. He was either sobbing, which me and the other person seated next to him tried to resolve, looking a bit too much at my screen, or eating like a slob. I know he's a child, so yeah, I gave him the benefit of the doubt. But even kids at that age are usually better behaved. The best parts of the flight were whenever he went to sit on his father's lap for a bit, which wasn't much, as the flight attendants didn't like that. After 7 hours of this, the father came to take his son and said, "Did you make friends with your neighbors?" To which the boy said, "Yes." The father laughed and said, "Kids, am I right? Were you able to tolerate him?" And this question was a bit too much for sleep-deprived me, so I calmly told the father the things I mentioned earlier. Well, he wasn't glad with those words. He told me that if I knew I was going to have trouble with sitting next to an unaccompanied kid for so long, I should have just moved. Well, this turned into a big argument, and eventually both just stormed off. Not a single person I know in real life is on my side. So, AITA.
I don't know, Danny, I want to hear your thoughts.
Oh, I will gladly take OP's side. Gladly. I'm sorry. I understand there are circumstances. I'm not saying that this is necessarily the case, but yeah, you should plan to sit next to your 5-year-old on an aircraft. And if you fail to plan for that and put out other people, you're an asshole, man. You're an asshole, not them. You. That's your responsibility. It's your shitty kid. You kidding me?
Yeah, I mean, I guess I feel like with so much plane stuff these days. Like, I don't know, there's all types of weirdness with like choosing seats and stuff like that. And sometimes it's just not up to you. I don't think OP's wrong for not wanting to switch. I totally get it. They paid for the leg room. But it's also kind of like, I don't know, what did you think was going to happen? He's like, oh, weirdly, this 5-year-old seems the happiest on this flight and the best behaved when he's with his dad. It's like, yeah, no kidding.
Yeah, I mean, but honestly, I felt like if dad had just sucked it up and been like, hey, I'm sorry that happened. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to sit next to my son, and I own that. That's what dad should have said, but instead he argued because he wanted to be right. Well, he wasn't right, was he? Maybe you're right, Sarah. Maybe he did try his best, and for whatever reason, they couldn't get the seats.
It seems like he tried. Like, it seems like he asked so many people, and nobody was willing to switch. And it's just like, he tried.
Yeah, he tried, but he also kind of like, this is not an impossible task to book a flight. I mean, is it such a crazy standard to ask that if you're bringing a small child on a plane that you have a little bit of foresight and try to arrange this to happen for their own good and your own? I mean...
And yeah, I feel like the airline's the asshole for not like helping them.
You know, potentially, but I just kind of feel like your lack of planning is not my emergency. I purchased this seat. I wanted the leg room. Like, this is your problem to solve, not mine. Then fine. Let's just give it to dad and say, whatever. He was put in a corner and this is just how it had to be. He's going to be sanctimonious? No, sir. You will not be sanctimonious. You will say, I'm sorry on behalf of my son. I tried my best. Unfortunately, this is just what happened. You don't get to have the moral high ground in this situation. And that's why I can let OP go. OP had every right to be like, well, your son did all these things. And it was really obnoxious. It's your responsibility to supervise your kids. Do I have to say that shit?
No, it's just like, okay. Well, it just seems like the flight attendants didn't want the kids sitting on the lap.
Well, that's not safe. That's not how fucking planes work.
It's just like, okay, I mean, what else was he supposed to do? Like, he tried, you know?
He did try. He tried, but he...
At the end of the day, like, when the flight's over and done with, like, what do you get out of being like, oh, well, actually, your kid was like a little shit? It's just like, okay, you know what I mean?
Yeah, your kid was a little shit because you didn't have the foresight or the planning to make this go off the right way, the way that you are responsible for. You're responsible for your shitty kid. They're your problem, not mine, dog. Not mine. Yeah. And you have to take a lashing when your child does something crazy. That's how it works. And you have to be the bigger person and say, I'm really sorry. I tried my best. I tried to trade seats. Unfortunately, I couldn't get a late booking because all we can afford right now is Southwest. I'm genuinely sorry, sir. That's what you say. You don't get to be like, no, dude, you fucked up. Nobody else. You fucked up.
I guess.
This
yeah,
rests with you.
I mean, I don't feel like OP is the asshole for like being annoyed or not wanting to switch at all. But I guess I just feel like when the flight's over and like all is said and done, like, again, what do you get out of? He was like, oh yeah, kids, am I right? Like, you could have just been like, yeah, LOL. And like, that's the end of it. But like, yeah, I don't know. You just had to have your moment. Like, okay.
But Sarah, I just, this guy thinks he's so funny. Kids, am I right? Were you able to tolerate him? And it's like, well, since you asked, and it says right here, OP said, I calmly told the father things I mentioned earlier. And he reported what happened to the father in calm words, which frankly, I think was a reasonable thing to do, given that the father broached this, because you know what the father should have said? I'm really sorry about the situation. I tried my best. But he wasn't empathizing. He wanted to make a big funny out of it. But he was wrong. He was wrong. This was his bad. Maybe it was very minor on his part. I get it. Things come up. Sometimes you're not sat by your kid. It's a thing that happens. But like you still have to deploy empathy and apologize on behalf of your child because they're 5 years old.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's just like if you're at a restaurant, okay, and you have one of those insane toddlers, which by the way, I'm jealous of the energy of these kids who like just run around, like just running around the freaking restaurant.
I hate that. Yeah.
And you have to go retrieve your child. And you grab your child and you say, Billy, please stop. And he has spilled lasagna all over some people. Is that your fault? Well, of course not. That's not directly your fault. The child went on his own volition. What were you going to do? Leash him to the table? But you do say, I'm really sorry. I'm really sorry. This is a situation I'm in and I'm sorry on behalf of my child. That's what you say. You say, I'm sorry because it's your responsibility.
Yeah, I guess you're right. The dad could have just been like a bit more apologetic.
Yes. That's all I'm asking.
But I guess I don't like the sort of culture about like, sometimes this culture gets taken too far where like people are proactively like handing out baggies of like snacks and earplugs to their like neighbors on the plane, and it's like, okay, that's like too much. You know what I mean?
Why is that too much? That's thoughtful
Because like
and empathetic.
kids are allowed to like exist in public, and like you shouldn't have to like do all this shit just for existing in public as a parent with your kids.
Well, but no, I would give props to those parents. I wouldn't say someone is the asshole for not passing out earplugs.
For sure. I just think people do that because of this culture of like, I don't want this kid in my space.
Well, yeah, because kids are annoying and planes are tight, horrible spaces.
I mean, I think the fact that people feel like they have to do that is like a sign that we've gone a little too far.
No, I completely disagree with it. They feel like they have to do that because they're empathetic to the fact that no matter how hard they try, putting a 5-year-old in a pressurized tube that hurts your ears is going to lead to suffering for other people and annoyance for other people. They're going to kick the kids. Let me tell you something. Kids they should make a toy that is just the seat in front of you on the airplane, because that is a kid's favorite thing. They go hog wild.
Don't encourage that.
They kick the ever-living shit. No, I think they need to get it out of their system. Beat the shit out of that thing at home. Kids love it.
Like, you don't get a dog a chew toy shaped like a shoe, then they'll eat your shoes.
I don't know. I don't know how to train these kids.
No, Mattel, do not listen to Danny's idea.
Yeah, that's fair. I'm probably wrong about this one too. But
Fisher Price, no.
To me, this is as simple as you're responsible for your kids. Where is your sense of that here? It was not your move to make a big joke out of this. And this guy, you opened him up to give a list of his complaints by saying, were you able to tolerate it? You were being fresh. You weren't in a position to be fresh. You just weren't. Just like if your kid rips someone lasagna off their table and then you go up to them and you go, Mamma mia, indeed. Fuck you, bro. Fuck you. What are you doing?
I guess. I mean, I get what you're saying. I think it's to me, it's kind of ESH.
No.
Except for the top comment. It seems like a lot of the other comments are going YTA.
No, he doesn't have to change his seat. He paid extra. He paid extra for the leg room.
No, he doesn't have to, but it's like, well, you kind of knew what the situation would be.
No.
And you don't have to switch, but it's also like, well, then what right do you have to complain?
He has every right to complain because this guy should have been sitting next to his child. That's on him.
I guess.
That's on him.
I don't know. A lot of Reddit is half with me on this.
No, let's get into it. I mean, I'd love to be talked off. Apparently all the guys in this and all the people in this guy's life are telling him, top comment is NTA. He would have easily found someone if he agreed to give up the extra legroom seat.
But OP had the legroom seat. Like, I don't get that.
Wait,
OP
what?
also said
No,
in
I'm
a
so
comment,
confused.
I'm assuming the dad, I think that person misread the situation because OP had the legroom, and then OP commented, I'm assuming the dad sat next to two people who were also traveling together, in which case they also wouldn't want to separate. What's a 5-year-old going to do with a legroom seat?
Yeah, I don't understand. This top comment makes no sense, but then nobody is correcting them? Why is nobody correcting this? Because you know what? These are probably all bots.
Because I think people hate kids on planes and they just don't care. They're getting the end result they want, even if the reasoning doesn't make sense. Or maybe it's written by your bot guy.
I think the bot did this one. This doesn't make any sense. He would have easily found someone if he agreed to give up the extra legroom seat. So then he could have just tried to trade. Well, no, but they said that the dad asked all the way around. I mean, maybe the dad just structured the trade poorly. I mean, that's incompetence. It was probably rushed.
Mm.
I'm not saying you're the asshole if you're separated from your child on a flight, but I am saying that this will put other people out. This will bother them, and your demeanor needs to match that. Like, that is on you. Like, that kid is your responsibility. Like, to me, there's really no way around that.
Yeah, I guess I'm kind of like, you got your little dig at the end. At what cost? A screaming match. If this kid really was screaming, like, the dad obviously heard it and knew, like, you're not telling him new information. So it's just like, I don't know, you just wanted to have your dig. So,
but you're not going to come with me on the dad's demeanor here, Sarah? What about at the lasagna? Do you give me lasagna gate? Your kid rips a lasagna off the table at Olive Garden. They think it's so funny. And then are you going to go up to that table and be fresh about it? Even though it's not your fault. It's not your fault. The kid ran away. He got away from you. You know how slippery these kids are. You going to be coy about it? You going to be fresh about it? That makes you an asshole. I probably
wouldn't, but I guess I just feel like making a joke to try to diffuse tension. Like, is that so asshole-ish?
Yes. Yeah.
You think so?
Because it's not diffusing tension, because what you're doing is diffusing responsibility. You say, I'm sorry. That's my kid and I'm sorry, which acknowledges the fact that your kid is your responsibility. Then after that, you go and they go, you know, we get it. It happens. We have kids too. They're little nightmares. Then you go, Mamma Mia, right? I guess we really are all family here. And then everybody in the Olive Garden starts laughing hysterically and they all clap and they stand up and then they bring out breadsticks and just start beating you because you lost the lottery. But like, just, it's your kid. It's your problem.
I guess.
That was a reference to the short story, The Lottery, for anybody stuck on that. Go ahead.
I didn't get that. I also will say a lot of people did say, why is this the top comment? You have a fundamental misunderstanding of the post. So like there are people who are like, why is this a top comment? This doesn't make any sense.
This is a bot website now. None of these comments were written by humans.
Yeah.
I can't budge here, Sarah. I don't know. Are you going to give it to me on Lasagna Gate? You better go up to that table and say sorry.
I don't know. I give you so much. I want to have my ESH, but like I agree with your, like I understand, but like... Yeah.
AITA for refusing to change my seat for a separated father and son, but also complaining about having to sit next to said son. I'm saying big NTA. And honestly, I could go even soft YTA. I think it was a demeanor issue. Well, no, he yelled. No, I'm saying NTA and he is firm.
I think they both yelled. Whatever. I'm saying ESH. It's kind of like this is the outcome of the situation.
I'm physically ill that you think ESH, but it is what it is. All right, folks. Thanks. Please rate, review, subscribe. Join us on Patreon, patreon.com/AITA pod. Over 130 bonus episodes. Should you find yourself pinned underneath a rock in the dreaded, what do they call that, Sarah? Where's he stuck? Where's James Franco?
Hard place?
No. Where was James Franco? Was he at the Red Rocks Amphitheater?
27 hours?
Yeah, where was he?
The Red Rocks Amphitheater. I have no idea. He was
stuck at the Red Rocks Amphitheater.
Definitely not stuck in like a developed concert venue.
No, and then the fish was playing. Remote. That's what 127 hours about. James Franco.
That's the length of one of their songs, the short one.
There we go. Now we got our fish stick. By the way, our sponsor.
Fish stick. I like that.
Fish. Oh, that's fun. Here's Sarah.
AITA for collecting my wife from the airport. My wife was traveling for work for the first time since we've had the kids. When I dropped her at the airport, I told her I would collect her. I'd bring the kids and we'd be waiting in arrivals with a big emotional reunion. She was away for 2 weeks and missed the children a lot. I had my hands full looking after a 9-year-old, a 5-year-old, and a 3-year-old. On the day she came back, I misjudged the time to get to the airport and I had to collect her at the curbside. She was waiting 10 or maybe 15 minutes. She told me she was furious and hasn't spoken to me since. I think this is pretty unreasonable because I've been very busy looking after the kids, working full time and all that. 10 minutes waiting hardly seems like a big deal. So a day of reunion has turned into a day of not talking, awkwardness, and confusion. The only thing I can say in her defense is she was missing the kids a lot, had been away for 2 weeks. It was a long overnight flight for 16 hours. So am I the asshole?
I think this is one of the most transparent things I've ever read.
This is like, honestly, kind of crazy. The reason I sent it to myself was because I was pretty surprised at the verdict. And this is, we'll get there. But I mean, it's just like waiting 10 to 15 minutes is kind of what you expect at the airport.
Well, she was expecting something different. She had been told there would be this magical reunion, right?
Sure.
So she was expecting different. And look, OP did not meet the expectations. He didn't. He messed up. He didn't plan well enough, whatever. I mean, honestly, with 3 young kids, can we really blame OP?
I'm just like, and traffic at the airport, to me, like, it's expected to wait 10 to 15 minutes.
Well, but see, no, we're not lining up, Sarah, because to me, this wasn't about the waiting for 15 minutes.
Okay. That's what I'm gleaning from this.
I think I'm going to have to ask you to lose that because what OP told her was that he would collect her, that he would bring the kids and we would be waiting in arrivals for a big emotional reunion. The issue was not that she waited 10 minutes. It was that not only did he not deliver on his promise, on top of that, he was also 15 minutes late. This is more about breaking a promise, right? I mean, this is classic, right? Under promise, over deliver. This is one of the now that's a banger cliche. Kick honesty is the best policy in the face. That's something. But that's why she's upset. It's not because he was 10 minutes late.
Okay, I guess that makes sense.
So that was a misstep on his end. But I think what she might have forgotten, being away from 2 weeks and all, is that when you have 3 children, they can easily eat up 30 minutes of your time. You know, they lose their shoes. How did you lose your shoe? Mm-hmm. How did you lose it? Did you eat it? You didn't eat it. Well, find it. Yeah. You know, like chaotic things happen. They're children. They take lasagnas off tables. They bother people on airplanes. They're crazy, these kids.
Yeah, I mean, I also think like having all the kids in the car, like, I mean, you're still getting your reunion, even if it's not like a Hallmark movie moment.
For me, what I said transparent, I see right through what happened here. Coming off a trip is like coming off a drug, especially probably when you're a mother and you have 3 kids. I'm betting if she was away for 2 weeks, was it a vacation? She was traveling for work. Still, I'm willing to bet with that long of a trip, right? If you go on a week trip for work and it's like one of those offsite things, whatever, it can be pretty intense because like you get there, you're at the offsite, then you got to go. But if it's 2 weeks, I bet she had some breathing room and I bet she was kind of feeling herself, right? She's like, I'm not single. Like, I'm not saying she cheated, but she felt single. She didn't have to deal with her husband.
I was going to go the opposite because I feel like 2 weeks for work is like a long ass time. Like, you're probably tired as fuck.
I mean, I guess it's up to interpretation. I guess in my view is if it's a week trip, then like you're eating a couple days on the travel and then you're there for the thing.
Well,
but like
it is a
2 weeks.
16-hour flight, so you are definitely eating. That's like a kind of trip where I feel like you have to be there for 2 weeks if you're flying 16 hours. Otherwise, it's just like, geez, what are you doing? Like, by the time you adjust to the jet lag, you got to turn around and come home.
Where did you get 16 hours? Because I don't remember you reading that.
The last sentence, it was a long overnight flight of 16 hours.
Okay, great. Well, I can hinge my argument on that then. What we have here is simply someone who just got off a flight for 16 hours. I mean, is that not enough? Is that not enough? Like, that's horrible. That is like, that's...
There are certain parts of the world where I'm like, I don't think I'm going to go because I can't bear to be on a flight that long.
I mean, that's cruel. She's probably extremely sleep deprived.
Yeah.
She's not herself. So I don't even need her to be like, have had this incredible time on this trip and now this is kind of a return to normalcy, which I still think is kind of valid, even if the work trip was hard, because it's like she had to work, but she didn't have to do homework. She didn't have to deal with all these other people and all their other problems. She was away, and 2 weeks is enough. 2 weeks is enough to start to get into a routine, you know? And now she's slapped in the face with reality, the reality of having kids, the reality that kids will make you a half hour late. They just will. Like, I don't blame OP at all. I mean, I could try to like mount charges on her, but like she just got off a 16-hour flight and a 2-week vacation. She's having a cranky day. I mean, you know, it's borderline silent treatment, but I'm not ready to go to like, you know, I think she's pissed off because she needs to go to bed, you know? I
mean, yeah, I could beat you there. Like, it seems a little asshole-ish to get this mad about what is like kind of the expectation at the airport. That's my only thing is just like, you know, geez.
Fully. No. I'm 100% with you. It's totally asshole-ish, but I'm just like, yeah, you're being an asshole because you're a sleep-deprived, hungry, confused person. Like, nobody gets off a 16-hour flight and is their best self. Nobody's like, let me take the bar. I just landed. Let's go. You know? You're trashed. And you know you ate. You know, like, there's just no way to cope. There's no way to cope. You could eat nothing. That will make you feel like shit. You could eat all the shitty snacks. Then you carb loaded like 2,000
bad
carbs.
Omelet.
Constipation. There's just no way to win the flight. Or you drink, then you get wasted. Guess what? You still have 12 hours left.
The worst. And then you're hungover.
Then you're hungover. Like, there's no way to win a 16-hour flight. AITA for collecting my wife from the airport. I'm saying have a sense of humanity, people. I'm saying no assholes here. Maybe she was sat next to that shitty kid too. She could have been the other person. There's 3 people.
I mean, yeah, I could meet you at no assholes here.
Guys, please rate, review, subscribe. Join us on Patreon, patreon.com/AITA pod. 130 plus hours. Get stuck under a rock in Red Rocks Amphitheater and you don't have to pay attention to that jam band. Why did I go? Just because my stupid friend Jerry, who's named after Jerry Garcia, so of course. Ugh. AITA for suggesting to my wife that my daughter 15 is taking too many mental health days from school. This was
a listener request, by the way.
Thanks for the request. You're a gem and a half. My daughter is a sophomore in high school. My wife is a major mental health advocate, and I like to think I am too. I believe in taking mental health days once in a while if the stress and emotions with work school are reaching a breaking point, but I do think there's a line. Here's the sitch. Since quarantine ended and my daughter started going back to in-person classes last year, she has been taking a number of mental health days since my wife told her that's okay. At first, I was completely fine with it and I was understanding. I know high school can be rough, especially having to deal with what the kids are dealing with in school these days. Well, it's gotten to the point where it seems every other week or once every 3 weeks, my daughter's taking a day off, citing mental health. I think my daughter is starting to abuse this. Wife and I tried talking to her about going to therapy if she's really struggling this much, but she won't go. So honestly, I think she's just taking advantage of her mom being so lax. Also, we haven't seen huge changes in her behavior. She still seems to be a happy 15-year-old. It's important to care for your mental health, but my daughter needs to learn she can't skip schoolwork anytime she feels a little sad. I think my wife is enabling this, so I had to talk with her. I told her I think we have to put some sort of rule in place with these mental health days because she can't be missing as much as she is. My wife scoffed. How dare you question your daughter's mental health? I love my daughter and I want the best for her, but I know she's always been a little trickster, so I think she could be just taking advantage. I want to reiterate that I've had a talk with her about her mental health, asking if she needs anything from us every time she takes one of these days. She says she's fine every time. AITA.
I mean, what were you going to dig into?
No, I just thought it was interesting, the unique challenges of Gen Z. I feel that.
But it's so true. There's like so many studies that are coming out of like how depressed like and anxious teenagers are,
that,
and like how badly the pandemic like took a toll on mental health, like especially in young people. And you got Instagram. I'm a boomer, but like now you have Instagram and like all these social media apps like that also fuck with your mental health. Like I think that's totally valid.
Sure. But also every generation had its unique challenges. I think that's fair to say. I don't think this was a study that integrated, the feelings of different people at different stages in their lives. I'm obviously willing to concede that COVID was incredibly horrible. However, other generations were drafted and in wartime. So the horrible things have been around.
Yeah, I mean, I just feel like you can have empathy for kids in high school. Like, I think they're dealing with unique challenges that we didn't deal with.
Yes, but don't they also owe empathy to their predecessors? Like, I'm not saying that they don't have unique challenges. I'm saying every generation has their unique challenges.
I guess, what is the lack of empathy that you're seeing from the daughter?
Well, no, my point being that everyone wants to be special, right? Everybody wants to have their problem be unique, but your problem is almost never unique. There's no such thing as a unique problem. You just don't understand how it's universal yet. Like, there's nothing new about Instagram, right? Like, these things have existed. They've always existed, in some form or another, right? Like, what is it really made of?
What?
Well, yeah, Instagram is an app that shows pictures, but why does it make you sick? It makes you sick because you're comparing yourself to other people. It makes you sick because you're not moderating your use of it. It makes you sick because you're not in control of it. Or you're like this daughter and you're not going to therapy to try to figure out and have the self-awareness of why Instagram is making you sick. So my point is not that...
I don't think like the core root is different, but I think like the degree to which it's involved, how ubiquitous it is, and like the manipulation involved by the apps themselves is like completely unique. Like, I don't think it does me any sort of disservice to admit that like growing up with Instagram to me feels harder than not.
I mean, sure.
And people have always compared themselves to each other, but like it's not in your face 24/7 in a way that's like engineered to like give you a dopamine hit.
Yeah, well, I mean, to me, this is reverse walk uphill both ways. It's like, okay, fine. Yes, Gen Z has it harder because they, we, from my youth, the internet kind of grew with us and they were born into this world. They also have more access to information than ever. When I was a kid, I had to pirate software. Now, like, I had to pirate movies. Now you can afford any song. Like, I was pirating shit on Napster. Now what? Spotify's $10. So like, fine. And I understand that. And I'm with you. Obviously, I'm no stranger to the fact that apps, we just went on Reddit and it's like all bots. So I get it. It's completely evil. But that said, I am not ready to, I feel like this is doing that classic thing where it's like, I'm leveraging my therapy terms so that I can do whatever I want. And it's like, no.
Yeah, well, no, I think the dad totally has the right approach here, which is like, you can't just use mental health as a carte blanche. Like, I think if it really is that bad, skipping school every once in a while isn't solving the root issue.
Right.
Like, there needs to be some actual real deeper work done if it's so bad, and you can't just like skip school. Like, that's not the only solution.
Okay, so I guess we agree totally. So we just
we agree. I don't know why you just nitpicked that one like sentence from the dad.
No, and I was just curious. I was wanting to explore it. You're right. No, you nailed it. You nailed it. The apps pose a unique challenge, and it's unique. It's unique and it's horrible. I'm with you.
There are so many people who are like, oh, kids these days have it so easy, and like, yeah, in so many ways they do. But I don't think it hurts anybody to like extend empathy and realize like, yes, you're right. We all have unique challenges, and it's not like fucking Olympics of like who had it worse. But it's just like, I think it's fine to say high schoolers have it tough. I would not want to be in high school right now. So I'm just,
Sure.
It's not like necessarily an apples to apples comparison, but yeah, I think that's kind of all the dad was saying.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's true. I think that's fair. I just think that this is a pattern that I do see in this generation. I see it in our generation as well. I mean, and it is a lot of this like intellectualizing and leveraging of therapy terms, like, you know, this whole thing of like, I need more serotonin, I need more dopamine, and da 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 da. And it's like, this girl isn't taking steps forward. You don't get to just wield your problems around as excuses. Nobody's saying mental disorders aren't valid or that they're not real, but that doesn't, you don't get to use that as an excuse to not do anything. And it's the parent's duty. I would actually say the dad is being a good parent here by cracking down on this.
I agree, just because like, again, if you really do care about their mental health, then there needs to be something like deeper done about it.
Exactly.
I think the dad has the right approach. Yeah, I think the mom is like coddling a bit.
I think so. I think it's toxic. You know, you shouldn't let this shit fly. You shouldn't. You got to crack down on it, you know, and you got to crack down on it in a way that is caring, which is therapy. It's a conversation. It's getting deeper. What is the source of this? But like,
and it's not just like, you sure you good? Yeah, dad, everything's fine. Okay. Like,
kids ditching school. That's unusual. No, we have all been looking for reasons to ditch school since forever. I remember I didn't even realize like, I never ditched school. I guess I couldn't, but like it never even occurred to me that you could do it. And then I went to high school and people would like ditch third period, you know? And I was like, that's crazy. And we would take our car and we would go get burritos.
I was like a total goody two shoes. I was like, have a car.
I would miss as many days as I could, you know, because I wanted a burrito instead of going to third period. Please, Mr. Baxler.
What was your third period? Was that like study hall?
Math.
Or was that like science? Math.
And I was always in advance.
You're like, when am I going to use this?
Never, you know. And the guy, he had a huge belly button and he loved puzzles.
What?
His
teacher?
His belly button.
Why did you see his belly button?
Because he wore very tight shirts. And his name, and he would wear these super tight shirts, and his belly button, I would say it was about half the size of a drink coaster. It was a very large belly button.
Ugh. That's like the stripper in Austin. Had that huge belly button.
It kind of looked like a mini pregnancy. I was like, is he having some kind of creature in there? And he loved puzzles, though. This was the trick. If you didn't want to do any schoolwork, you would just be like, what puzzle is this? And he'd be like, this is the 17-piece wooden puzzle. I got this in Tibet 10 years ago. My wife and I went there, and my wife made me leave because I was talking to the guy for too long, but it's made of rare or whatever. You know, he always went on and on about these puzzles, and you could get them going.
That's funny.
Boom,
and
10 minutes
like
left in class.
sneak out of the class.
Yeah, right.
You'd be like, all right, I'm going to go grab a burrito. You come back. He's still talking.
and then we wouldn't stand for the pledge. I remember, and he did not like that. We were like, we're not standing for the pledge. We don't have to do that. We don't have to do nothing.
Yeah, that's a weird thing we had to do in school.
Yeah, just one of those low-key cult things that's going on.
Yeah, for sure.
Why? I don't have to do that. Anyway, Gen Z, you guys do have it hard. I'm just saying we all have unique problems. I think that's also true. But yeah, you're right. I mean, I can't imagine.
Both things can be true. That's the thing.
Exactly. Exactly. They are true. But I mean, and then we go now into, I don't know, what's after Gen Z?
I thought it's Alpha.
I think we just call them the last ones. It's over after
sorry,
this.
Dudes.
But can you imagine like these babies, like to be born and the iPad Pro is out.
Well,
like,
that's what like freaks me out. God. My God. I don't know.
Crazy. They're literally born into a world where like a panel of glass is magic, you know? It's crazy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Scary stuff.
Those are all the kids that are beating us at video games, actually. That's true. I can't play any video games.
They're the ones writing the Reddit comments with the bots.
They have a bot army.
Yes.
AITA for suggesting my wife that my daughter 15 is taking too many mental health days from school. We agree wholeheartedly. I actually will throw an asshole on her. I would say NTA and the wife is. Yeah.
I think so. I don't think she's being like super like forward thinking about this.
Yes, she's taking the easy route, not appropriate.
Yeah.
Not motherly, apparently.
Yeah, motherly seems like a loaded term.
Yeah, that does seem loaded. Wow, that got weird. I gendered. I'm sorry. Forgive me for I hath gendered. Folks, that's the show. Thank you so much for listening. We appreciate you guys, and we'll see you next Monday morning. Bye.
Bye.